Now, I want to tell you, I want to propose a few things. First, as part of engaging the United States think tanks, we should evaluate these think tanks the way they evaluate our think tanks. And it's only fair. Americans respect strength. So we have to just tell our American friends, listen guys, you're looking at us, we're looking at you, we're friends, we will share with you our findings like you're producing reports and telling us about it. So we will also do like the Chinese are doing. Americans will respect you for that. So if you look at the US, you will find that the foundation of American psychology and American thought is very Judeo-Christian. When they say founding fathers and American values and our tradition, they're talking about that. That's what they're talking about. Combined with economic pragmatism, Americans are also very pragmatic. They'll make compromises. Let's make a deal. Okay, well, maybe I'll compromise my ideology for a while. Maybe I'll compromise a little bit, but this is practical. You know, I need to buy oil from you, or I need to buy this thing, or I need to sell you. So Americans are also very pragmatic. And the third is the politics and military alliances. So there's three. There is the religion foundation, there is the economic necessity foundation, and there is the political, military, geopolitical foundation. These three competing interests are creating a fabric that is the American mindset. And our people have to understand that. We have to understand the history, the psychology, the history of president. We have to really understand all that. And it should not be going to some American university to study them. Chinese do their own independent study. Chinese have their own independent analysis, not taking the American analysis of themselves as a gospel. That's one input. Of course, we should study how others are, whatever others are producing. But we should also have our own independent thinking. So this sort of thing needs to be done. And we should understand what is the purpose of the American mapping of India. Whether it's the Kumbh Mela, whether it's just gathering databases, gathering a database of all the Kumbh Mela attendees' cell phones, where they come, which village, so that you can track them. Maybe you can send somebody to follow up, convert him or whatever. So what is the reason for such a drive towards studying us? And what has happened when the Americans in the past have studied other people? What was the result? What was the motive for studying them? And what came out of it, and what were the implications? We should understand that. This is part of engaging the other. He will also respect you. If you say, I'm well informed, I'm not coming as some kind of a village bumpkin, asking you for a handout and saying, Ore Baba, Bapre, you please help me, I'm oppressed and I'm abused, aap bata dijiye. Instead of talking like that, like a bechara or a bechari, we have to talk with some assertiveness as dignified people, and this means that we also have to be able to tell them what we know about them. That's how friends have to be. So, and American policy is also multifaceted. They're betting on many horses. The same game board, they're playing many. So in Iraq or in Syria or in Afghanistan, they may be on one side, but there is another group that goes quietly and also plays, does something with the opposing side, just to keep investing in many portfolio. It's like a portfolio, and you invest in many aspects of that portfolio. So in India is so complex, so large, so many moving parts. You should expect that the Americans and the Europeans and the Chinese, they'll be investing in many different forces. And we must be together on this, and we must be vigilant on this. So I will conclude by giving some recommendations for Indians. First, we should formulate our own Indian grand narrative. And this is a job the new government should put together with very high-powered thinkers to put this together. And this grand narrative as a national narrative should then feed our education system, our foreign policy, our think tanks, and so on. That's how it has to start. Indians outside the government, which means industrialists, must fund think tanks. The way we have Carnegie, we have Rockefeller, we have Ford, all these, and Bill Gates, all these kind of people, they funded, private people are funded. So we should have people with patriotism and pride should fund our own think tanks. And our think tanks should not only counter Western discourse, but our own media, our own academics that are messed up, okay, our own NGOs that are sometimes against our own interests. So these domestic funded, domestic think tanks can become very powerful. Some of them have already come up. I mean, I don't have time to give you names. Some of them are coming up, but we need to have more of this as a kind of an intellectual cottage industry. India should set up think tanks in neighboring countries. We should have, just like Brookings has set up Brookings India, okay? Carnegie Endowment, setting up. Heritage is doing India project. We should set up in Nepal. We should have Indian think tank in Nepal, hire Nepalis to do this work on our intellectual wavelength and groom the next generation of Nepalis. We should have a think tank in Bangladesh. We should have Indian think tank in Bhutan, Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, and bring it in a very nice, polite, diplomatic way. Eat their food, dance to their music, watch their shows, really patronize their arts, be very, very nice. Be very kind, gentle to them, fund them, be a good friend. But at the end of the day, have a certain Indian ideological positioning that one is trying to push. This kind of a think tank mechanism might help. It won't help hardened Pakistanis change, but there may be many others who are open-minded and we could win them over, perhaps. So we should invest in think tanks in our neighborhood.
और हमारे देश के लिए अगर सबसे बड़ी एक समाज की मन में एक आवश्यकता है तो हमारी सोसाइटी हिस्ट्री कॉन्शियस होनी चाहिए. इतिहास को भुला देने वाली समाज व्यवस्था नहीं होनी चाहिए.